Hello, everybody. This is Violet, and I am an expert on love, dating, and relationships. And I wanted to do a special Facebook Live to talk about what our friendships have to do with our dating life. So, how many of you ask your friends for support or advice when it comes to dating or relationships? I know most women do. Most women ask their friends for advice, or they, check in if something's going on with someone that they're going on a date with. So, hi, Elizabeth. It's really common, especially as women, but as human beings, to want to get input. Especially if we're feeling stuck or we're not sure what to do about a certain situation, oftentimes we'll text our friends, we'll, reach out to family members, or sometimes we'll even ask some of our guy friends, like, hey, what's going on here? But there's a real danger in that, because if we're just using our friends or our guy friends or our family to get advice, there's two things that are happening. One of which is those people are biased. They've known you for a really long time. They don't want to see you get hurt. They might either be overly protective and be like, oh man, that guy is such a jerk, and just really blame the other guy or the person. Or they might be, on the other hand, like too afraid to tell you something that might be really going on. So they might not even see one of your blind spots, or if they do see one of your blind spots, they might be afraid to bring it up because they don't want to hurt your feelings. So that's the number one thing that is wrong when we ask our friends or our family members for dating advice. And then the second thing that can happen that might not always put us in the best position is that a lot of times our friends and family members don't necessarily have the scoop on what dating is like, especially modern dating. So I'm curious how many of you, a lot of your friends are already married or engaged. A lot of women I talk to, their friends are either married or engaged, or for many of you, if your friends aren't married or engaged, your friends are probably just dating and kind of using the apps or doing the best that they can with dating as well. But both of those situations can lead you astray, because if someone is just doing the dating apps, they might be stuck in a cycle of negativity. They might be frustrated. They might have their own stories and projections and patterns that they're dealing with. And they might not actually have a way to give you advice that feels successful or that feels accurate for what you're going through. And then for the friends that you have that are married or engaged, sometimes they have amnesia about what it's like to date. How many times have you asked someone who's already married and they're just like, oh, don't worry, you'll find your person. And you're like, what? That's not super helpful. I mean, I get that they're trying to give you reassurance, but it's also kind of like putting a Band-Aid on top of things. And a lot of times when people are just giving kind of trite advice in that way, it's not really getting to the deeper issue. It's saying like, oh, when you stop looking, then you'll find them, or don't worry, you'll find your person, or, just keep putting yourself out there. And it perpetuates these myths like that dating is a numbers game, or that dating is just a matter of passively waiting. There's these things that culturally we've just decided are true because we don't have the answers for dating. But there are people who have the answers for dating. And a lot of people get stuck in this cycle of going to their friends or going to their family members instead of actually getting help and instead of actually getting advice. And of course, you can get advice through YouTube videos, you can get advice through books, you can get advice through reading blog posts, and there's a ton of that. But we really live in the age of information, and we're moving into the age of transformation. So I know at one point in my journey, I had like every dating book under the sun on my bookshelf, and it actually made things worse because everyone was giving different advice, and I felt really confused and really stuck. And the worst part of that is that I was really dating for my head. So even if I had a great connection with a guy, I was almost like consulting my books or trying to reference in my mind like what I should or shouldn't do. And it became very awkward. I really wasn't being my authentic self. And then the worst was when I did something that didn't feel right to my intuition. I followed advice from a book or from a blog post, and then it backfired. So if that's ever happened to you, if you've ever had like a blog post or something that you've read and then you've tried it and it hasn't worked, have you ever felt like disgruntled or annoyed? I know that I have, and a lot of women that I talk to, I talk to many women every week, and they say like, Violet, I just don't know what to do. I'm feeling stuck. Like I've read the books, I've read the blogs, I've asked my friends, maybe I've even gone to therapy, and it's still not working. Like, what am I doing wrong? And when we are going through that cycle of feeling stuck and just consuming more and more information, but not necessarily listening to our intuition or integrating our head, our heart, or our body, or hiring someone who knows what it's like to date successfully and knows how to get you into a great relationship, then we can start blaming ourselves, and it almost creates this cycle of shame. Like, what's wrong with me? All of my friends are married, or all of my friends are getting married or in relationships, and I'm doing all the things, but I can't make it work. And it creates this sense of helplessness. So I have a lot of compassion for any of you that are watching that have been in that cycle of not knowing what to do and then feeling like it's getting worse and worse and feeling like you're getting stuck. Hi, Leah, and hi, Misha. Really nice to see you. I love the emojis. So yeah, so what we're talking about right now is what your friends have to do with your love life. And I was saying earlier that a lot of times your friends can lead you down the wrong path inadvertently because they either can't see your blind spots, or if they do see your blind spots, don't want to address them, or they themselves might be struggling in a relationship, or they might be married and have total amnesia about what it's like to date. There are so many apps. I should do some research and see how many apps there are now. And each app is a little bit different, and online dating is different than meeting someone in person, and a lot of times there's this disconnect. So it's really important that, just like in every other area of your life, you get guidance when it comes to dating and love, the same way that you would if, let's say, you wanted to, I don't know, lose weight. The best thing to do would be to get on a different diet plan and hire a trainer and maybe even consult with a nutritionist, go see your doctor. You would have like a team of allies, and they wouldn't just be your friends, because maybe your friends don't have the best health advice. And the same thing about your finances. Like, can you imagine asking your friends, like, well, what should I do with my money? Maybe there's one or two friends that you would feel trusted with doing that, but most of your friends are not going to be the most savvy financial advisors, because that's just not their wheelhouse. So even though there's a lot of DIY nowadays, like with crafting and with all these other things and making your own beer at home and all of that, are really important parts of our life, we don't want to DIY. Our health, our finances, our love life, our education. You know, most of us still have some sort of college degree or some sort of professional degree. Now, I know there's lots of people who don't, and that's totally cool too, but they've gotten their own degree through experience. And I know that I've gotten probably a million degrees in terms of dating through my own dating experience, my marriage that I had in my 20s, and now the second marriage that I'm on. And so it's okay that you're getting all of this experience, but I don't want you to get stuck in that cycle of blaming yourself, or stuck in the cycle of consuming so much information, but not getting the breakthrough that you need. Because most of the time, what's keeping you from having an amazing love life is not that hard. It's not that, well, I should say, it's not easy to change those patterns, but it is simple. It's simpler than what you think. A lot of times it relates to the relationships we've had before, our mindset, how we think about ourselves, our attunement with our emotions, how connected we are to our intuition and to our body, how clear we are on what we want, and then the sort of family upbringing and relational dynamics that we had when we were a child. And then, of course, how do we actually show up on a date? How do we text? How do we not emasculate a man? How do we make sure that there's a blend of collaboration, but also chemistry? So a lot of people, oh, hi, Leah. Thanks for chiming in. She says, my friends give the worst advice. And Misha says, yeah, such an important topic. And it's not to throw your friends under the bus. Like, I want you to have amazing and rich and healthy and beautiful friendships. I have great friends, but there's certain things I don't go to them for. And I really want to break this myth that love should just happen, or that dating is just easy, or some people are lucky in love and some people aren't lucky in love, because it's just not true. Like, there's different things that we're primed for in each of our lives. And some people are primed for being super successful at their career, and it just seems to come naturally to them. Some people are primed for that in relationship, or some people are primed for that in health. But we can actually have it all. Like, we live in a time where there's such information and such transformation available to us that we don't have to just succeed in one area of our life. We can really develop in all of these different lines of development in all of these different areas. But we've got to bust this myth that dating should just be easy, or that, you know, you're either lucky or not lucky in love, because it's actually a skill. Dating is a skill. Falling in love is a skill. And because it's a skill, it's also something that takes practice. Now, I don't believe that dating is a numbers game, because when you really get aligned with what you want and you make these internal and external shifts and get the support that you need, it can happen really fast. But it does take practice to understand how to communicate in a way that draws your person closer, to understand how people make commitment and how different people make different commitment based on their attachment styles. Like, there's so many fine-tuned points when it comes to really building a healthy relationship. And as much as you probably don't want to hear this, like, it doesn't end. You know, in my relationship with Jason, we're continuing to work on ourselves. So we have professional support. We have a coach that we work with, because we have a great relationship, but we want to make sure that it keeps getting better. There's so much that changes within a relationship and within two individuals' lives, that it's really important to keep getting that support and keep getting that help. And to make the analogy to the health thing, you know, a lot of people would say say the same thing about being in shape. Like sometimes it's the last 10 pounds or it's the last little bit of fitness that you actually need even more support with, you know. And a lot of women that I speak to are great at building relationships with their friends or building relationships with their family, but then they're totally perplexed, like, why can't I get that in my love life? Why is that so different right now? And it is different. Like, I wish it wasn't different. That would be so much easier, but it's absolutely different when you're living with someone and having an intimate relationship with someone than when you're just friends with someone. And the main thing is because of the level of closeness. So when we're with friends, we can kind of regulate, okay, I'm kind of done hanging out, like I'm gonna go do something else. Or yeah, I'm really busy this week, I can't connect with you. Or, you know, we can regulate the amount of closeness, and we can also regulate the amount of sharing. But when it comes to a deep, intimate partnership, we can't regulate as much. Like, especially if you're living with someone, you can take space for yourself, but your stuff is gonna come up. You're gonna get triggered. You're gonna be like exposed in some ways. Your partner is gonna be able to see things about you that maybe you were hoping that no one would ever see. And they're not bad things, but there are ways in which we can grow and learn and connect with someone else. So friendship is different than intimate relationship because of the level of closeness, the level of connection, and also what's at stake. So even if you don't share bank accounts or something like that, if you're choosing to build a life with someone, that's one of the most important decisions that you'll ever make. It's about your finances, your home, if you have children or not, your emotional intimacy, your sexual needs. Like, a lot is packed in here. So of course it's complex, and of course, you know, it's not easy, but it is simple to get things back into a different alignment when you know what to look for within yourself, within a partner, and then within the process of dating and falling in love. So I really appreciate everyone for joining and for listening. I would love to hear a little bit more about times you've used your friend's advice and maybe it hasn't gone well, or times that you haven't used your friend's advice, but then you felt like you were kind of just off on your own. We're wired for relationship. We're wired for connection. We want to make sure that we're getting that connection in the right place. Like, you're going to the grocery store for the right items. You wouldn't go, you know, to the hardware store for food, and vice versa. So it's my passion to educate and bring more transformation to our love lives. I think this is the next great frontier. I think a lot has been done in terms of technology, entrepreneurship, healthcare, all of those things. And thank goodness those areas are still growing. But I think relationships have still been kind of a black box. You know, people just expect it to happen, or they have a lot of misinformation out there. So it's totally my passion to help people build conscious partnerships that are full of love and full of growth, so that you don't have to compromise. You don't have to create a codependent relationship where you just put your needs on the side, but you're not creating such an independent relationship that the connection totally fizzles out. So I want to create an interdependent relationship where you're independent but still somewhat dependent on each other in a really healthy, beautiful way. Because with that level of support, you can really reach higher heights, and you can achieve and experience more in your life than would ever be possible. And a lot of people I talk to, they're like, oh, I really want to go to Italy. And I say, you know, what are you waiting for? And they're like, well, I really want to go with my partner. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think their tendency as independent women would be to shame that and say, well, why don't you just go to Italy on your own? Why are you waiting for a partner? But there is something romantic, there is something beautiful about experiencing things with someone else that can reflect back to us what they're thinking, what their perspective is, ask us questions, enhance our growth, enhance our beauty, reflect back to us the things that they love and appreciate about us. So there is something beautiful when we go on adventures with someone else, and I want everyone to be able to have access to that. No matter how old you are, no matter what you look like, this is really about the inner work and the relational skills, and then plus the skills in order to really date and create a relationship effectively. So thank you. Thank you, Leah, for writing in. She says she's divorced for 3 years. I don't feel like dating anymore. I hear you, sister. When I got my divorce, I dated like a frenzy for a little while, and then I had to take a cooling off period because I got burned. Like, I wasn't actually totally healed when I started dating, and I also wasn't really clear on what I wanted. I kind of ping-ponged. I dated someone opposite of my ex-husband, and then I dated someone more similar to my ex-husband, and I had a hard time kind of finding that middle ground. So I would love to chat with you about that. I'm going to put a link in the comments, so anyone watching this, if you want to set up a free Breakthrough to Love session, it's a free 45-minute call where we go through the things that might be holding you back from having a healthy love life, and the things that 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 you need in order to get what you want in love. And hi, Gemma, nice to see you. So if you're just joining, we're just wrapping up, but it's really important that you don't just go to your friends for your love life. It's really important that you get the expertise and the help that you need, and that you take the advice of your friends with a grain of salt, because they might mean very well, but they might not have the skills or the perspective or their own life experience to really be consulting you when it comes to love. And this is too important to just leave to chance. So thank you for watching. Hope you all had an amazing last few days, and I will be live again on Monday. All right, see you soon. Bye.